We're basically swimming in an ocean of data. Every click, every search, everything we do online, it's all being captured. And this has created a huge, huge paradox, right? How do we keep innovating with all this amazing information while also protecting our fundamental right to privacy? I mean, is it a trade-off we just have to swallow? Well, what if I told you it doesn't have to be? Today, we're going to dig into a framework called Privacy by Design that says, hey, we can absolutely have both. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, we've got to wrap our heads around something that's, well, a radical new reality. Just think about this for a second. Every single piece of digital info about you, that embarrassing photo from 10 years ago, that search you just did, it basically lives forever. It doesn't fade away, it doesn't get worn out, it doesn't just disappear. It's immortal, and that changes everything.
I mean, just think back to the paper era, right? Information was temporary. Ink would fade, you'd lose documents, and honestly, a lot of privacy was just protected by the fact that things were hard to find. It was just obscurity. But now, in the digital area, whoa. Data is permanent. It gets copied over and over and over again, and it's recalled with perfect, crystal clear clarity. The old rules, they don't apply anymore, not even a little bit.
All right, so let's really dive into this new permanent reality and figure out what's truly at stake here. And to do that, we need to start with a core concept.
So what even is information privacy? Well, at its heart, it's pretty simple. It's your right to control your own personal data. And the key idea here, the really crucial part, is something called informational self-determination. It's a fancy term, but it just means that you, not some company, not some algorithm, you get to decide what happens to information about you. You're in the driver's seat.
Okay, so if privacy is all about you having control and, limiting data collection, you can probably see where this is going, right? This is where the big conflict with, big data comes in. It creates this massive paradox.
And here it is, laid out plain as day. These two philosophies are in a total head-to-head clash. Big data's goal, that's data maximization. It's all about collect everything, hoard it all, because you never know when it might be valuable later. But privacy's goal, that's data minimization. It says, nope, collect only what you absolutely need for a specific reason, and then get rid of it when you're done. I mean, they're not just different, they are polar opposites.
Now, this conflict, this isn't just some academic debate, It has really profound real-world consequences, and it's leading some people to worry about something they call a dictatorship of data. And yeah, that sounds pretty scary.
In this quote, wow, it just captures the danger perfectly. We are no longer judged on the basis of our actual actions, but on the basis of what the data indicate will be our probable actions. Think about that. In this world, your data profile, what an algorithm thinks you might do, can become more important than who you actually are and what you actually do. It's prejudgment.
So how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, it starts with algorithms finding patterns, right? Correlations in data. The thing is, they're often mistaken for actual causes. Then, based on those patterns, they start making predictions about you. And here's the really dangerous part. Those predictions are used to make decisions for you. We're talking about the price you see for a flight, the job ads that pop up in your feed, or maybe even whether or not you get approved for a loan.
And look, this isn't just some far-off danger we're talking about. People are feeling this anxiety right now. A staggering 92% of people, that's almost everyone, worry about their privacy online. And you can see it right here. The biggest fears? Plain old data misuse, and just a fundamental lack of trust in the companies handling all our information. This isn't a niche concern anymore. It's a mainstream fear, for sure.
So, this all leads us to the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? Are we just stuck? Is the amazing potential of big data just fundamentally at odds with our right to privacy? Do we really have to sacrifice one to get the other?
Well, the good news, the really good news, is that the answer is no. There is a way forward, one that doesn't force us to choose. It's what's called a positive-sum solution.
Okay, so the old way of thinking was what's called zero-sum. Like a pizza. If I get a slice, you get less. A win for privacy was seen as a loss for innovation. It was this constant, painful balancing act. But the new solution is positive sum. Think win-win. It completely reframes privacy, not as some annoying regulatory burden, but as a core business imperative that builds trust and actually fuels sustainable innovation.
And the practical framework for making this happen? It's called Privacy by Design, or PBD. The key word here, the one to remember, is proactively. This isn't about slapping on some privacy features after a data breach. No. It's about building privacy into the very foundation of your systems from day one. It's like putting fire sprinklers in while you're building the house, not after it's already on fire.
So how does this actually work in practice? Well, privacy by design is built on 7 foundational principles.
That's right, 7 key principles that create a complete blueprint for getting this right.
And together, these principles create this really holistic approach. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. It's about making privacy the default setting so you're protected from the get-go. The goal is that win-win we talked about, getting full functionality with top-notch end-to-end security, and doing it all transparently while, and this is the most important part, respecting you, the user.
Now look, all 7 of these are super important, but I want to zoom in on one that is a real, true game changer, and that's making privacy the default setting. Why is this so huge? Because it completely flips the script. It shifts the burden of protection off of your shoulders and puts it right where it belongs, on the company that's designing the system.
The core idea is so simple but so powerful. If you, as the user, do absolutely nothing, your privacy still remains intact. The best, strongest protection is the one that just works automatically. You don't have to go digging through settings to uncheck a sneaky little box. You are just protected by default.
So, here's the big takeaway from all of this. When you really embrace privacy by design, you start to see that privacy isn't some barrier to progress. It's not the enemy of innovation. Actually, it's the catalyst for it. It's the foundation. Because when you earn your customers' trust, you create real loyalty. You build a stronger, more sustainable business. It really, truly is a win-win.
And all this leaves us with one final big question to think about. As technology gets more and more powerful, we have to decide what it's really for. Should technology serve our interests, or should we be serving its insatiable appetite for data? The awesome thing about privacy by design is that it shows us the choice. Well, that choice is still ours to make.